bullying. So you've got intervention, coaching, suffering, or maybe something else altogether. And the other thing worth talking about, I believe, is people respond to a language they understand. So what's the merit of communicating like with like?
I don't want to go to school today.
Why not?
There's a girl at school and she's mean to me all the time.
What's she doing?
She calls me names and stuff.
What's the matter? Who put that up there? Who did that?
Taylor.
Hello?
My daughter Brittany goes to school with your daughter Taylor. Apparently, Taylor's been bullying my daughter, saying stuff to her, putting stuff up on the internet.
My daughter wouldn't do that, so.
Can you talk to her and find out? Because I don't think my daughter's going to lie about it.
How did you get my address?
Look, love, I'm not here to cause problems.
Don't call me love, mate. Do you think you scare me or something coming around here?
I'm not trying to scare you.
I'm going to go inside now, and I'm going to call my brother. He's a cop.
It's scary.
Afternoon, sir. Are you Ray Shoesmith?
I don't answer questions. Can I help you?
Does he live here?
I don't answer questions.
Okay, is there somebody here who can answer questions?
I don't answer questions.
Okay, I don't really know how to respond to that, sir.
You, Taylor, you bother Brittany again, and I'm going to rip your head off. Got it?
All right, so what happened to you?
Wow. Like a lot of things.
So the daughter's getting online harassed.
Yes.
Spoke to the parent, was ignored. And I've seen similar scenarios play out at school, I must say. Not as individually specific, but just even with more generic stuff, instant denial.
Yes.
And so then he's responded by finding... escalation to alternative pathways.
Yep.
And then a counter threat.
Yes. I think that's a good succinct summary of what's happened. Yeah. Absolutely.
So there we come into the first question, right? In your life, there's somebody that has significant value to you. It's getting bullied, right? Do you intervene? Do you coach them? Do you let them suffer? Or is there another pathway? Because in this case, he chose to intervene. Now, I'm not saying he's right or wrong, but there's other pathways that we need to uncover.
Yeah, and look, is it one of a case-by-case basis? I mean, in this situation, it's online bullying and harassment specific to an individual. Potentially there's no one-size-fits-all here. And maybe the first one is the coaching, perhaps, to understand what's happening. Obviously not blaming the victim either. When you say suffering, is that more about the empathy part?
No, suffering is let it unfold, and so don't coach, don't intervene.
Oh, right. Yep.
Which is the school of hard knocks.
Yeah, the school of hard knocks, yep. And obviously this video clip shows the guy intervening as well. So, yeah, for me, it depends on the situation, and then, I think coaching is always good. I don't know if suffering the school of hard knocks may be appropriate for this particular situation because it's online harassment. And it's very insidious and very different to other forms, perhaps.
I'm not trying to be facetious here, right? Online didn't exist 50 years ago, right? But you still had similar types of bullying. Maybe they printed out the school photos and, turned you into a vampire.
That's a good challenge, yeah. I can see that. Yeah, I mean, look, that still has a physical element to it, right? But point taken. So, yeah, look, again, I think it's important probably to coach first. And then as this video clip shows, take those peaceful routes to see what happens. And then it's a jungle out there, as they say.
So ultimately, right, this guy cares for his daughter deeply. He has mentally decided, I don't want my daughter exposed to this pain, right? Not going to judge that. I think a lot of people won't be able to know what they do until they're in the moment. Now, what I want to discuss, though, is you have made the mental decision that you're going to intervene. So you speak to the parent, goes nowhere, right? Before you even speak to the parent, you should already understand what your flowchart looks like, whether it goes favourable or unfavourable.
Yeah.
Now, it goes unfavourable, so the decision point is to escalate to a counter threat, which I describe here as communicating with a common language. what are your thoughts on that as a, I'm not going to call it last resort, but second last resort? I think the last resort would be to actually retaliate with violence.
Oh, look, I think you've done a fantastic job of calling it out. It's unspoken, but it feels like it's the basis. What is the common language of the next levels of escalation? You know, look, not being facetious, but, you're a big guy. If someone, young punk came over to you to try and, have a bit of a go or crack, I'm sure in their mind, they'll be evaluating that common language risk. And the last one, the violence, they'd be thinking that through very carefully and saying, no, I won't let it get there. I'm going to walk away. So without you having to do anything, because there is a common language. Now, when children are involved and there's legal process and schools and things like that, as you say, yes, violence is the last one. But what I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on is, what are the other language steps prior to getting to that violence escalation?
Well, I don't believe in addressing this with violence to begin with. What I will say here is, I found out the other week that my 6-year-old son was, I don't mean to dramatize it, but in legal speak, assaulted by a older boy at a sports carnival after school.
Sorry to hear.
No. It actually, he told me on the day that the kid was bothering him, and he didn't say anything further from there. It was only a week later that he told me that the kid actually punched him, and firstly, it took a lot of courage for him to share that. He felt some shame with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, again, lots of parents are going to have different positions on this, and I'm not judging. This is just where I sit personally and how I would respond at work. Not that I've been physically assaulted at work, but I've seen other people close to it. I said to him firstly, before it even got to the point of a punch, like, what happened is irrelevant to why I'm talking about this. Understand how it got there. But I said to him, how did you feel in the moment? And he goes, I didn't know what to do because I can't fight back. It's against the rules, blah, blah, blah. And I said to him, look, you shouldn't be looking to fight him, okay? But you do need to stand your ground. You can't be walked over. You can't be a doormat. Now, there's different ways you can stand your ground. But firstly, you need to be able to hold a level of assertiveness, confidence that shows that you're willing to follow through. At least that's what's worked for me in the past, successfully.
Now, that's a really good example. Now, what I would ask, though, in this case, because this is an older boy, I assume larger boy.
Yeah, but he was in a group of 3.
The other boy?
My son was in a group of 3. So, like, on one hand, I go, this shouldn't never happen because 3 beats 1 every time.
Yeah. But I guess that's one of the questions I'm actually trying to ask here, which is, you would need to factor in the physicality and the numbers as well, though, right? With making these assessments.
Yeah.
Yeah. So would your response change based on that assessment?
Well, like, ultimately, I go, you've got an area of space that's in conflict, okay, and you need to make a choice. Do I want to weather the conflict and then risk confrontation and whatever that escalates to, or do I de-escalate and move out of the area? And so they made a call to stay, all 3 of them. And the problem with the decision they made is they weren't ready to deal with escalation, right? And I view that as a shortcoming personally. That now you can argue, should a 6-year-old be aware that violence is a potential repercussion to conflict? Well, they're going to learn it at some point.
Yeah, and look, I'm going to share something with you based on my own personal experiences. The primary school I went to, everything had a violent undertone. So your playground standing was based on a hierarchy of ability to smash someone, and there was always a pecking order, and it was implicit in all interactions, but mostly it was peaceful. But where there was resource shortages, then it was like the jungle where the pecking order would apply. Now, you could argue that, look, 9 times out of 10, there's no actual physical interaction involved, and the schools can do things around, resourcing of play equipment and, things like that. But finite resources, sometimes things come to a head and whatnot. So I actually find for kids, it's probably, especially for boys, it's probably something they need to learn how to navigate early on, unfortunately. And I don't think things have changed much from when we were kids.
No, people are people, and
People.
it's a truth, and there's different rules for different people.
Exactly. Different rules for different people, 100%.
Yeah.
You know.
I would say my philosophy here, because I did encourage him as well, that he doesn't have to start it, but he needs to be prepared to finish it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna support him with that. But the thing is, and where I want to go to, the intervention, coaching, suffering, they're not one-way paths. It's a blend. And I think all three are relevant. In the case of this video, absolutely coaching is key, because you are not going to be there all the time. You need to, well, as a parent, I believe that you need to equip whoever you're parenting to deal with their own problems, teach them to fish so they can fish themselves. So the coaching is key. Many times people need to suffer to recognize that a perspective shift is required. And again, with the intervention, the complexity here is I'm not a fan of intervening. I think it blocks the suffering, which is what makes someone resilient to and equipped to discover new tools of how to solve these problems or problems in life in general. But how far is too far? Because there's enough examples where lack of intervention is recognised by the victim as lack of care, and in the worst case outcome can lead to things that I don't even want to say out loud, but we know. Yeah. And so there's a fine line where I would say I would prefer to reframe the intervention from not to the assailant, but intervene to the victim and be a source of comfort, care, counsel. Intervene in that way rather than stop the problem by addressing the bully. If there's a method, if there's a mechanism to do that, I'm much more in favour of that. But again, not one rule fits all.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. 100%.
Any other takeaways?
Look, this carries over into the adult world as well.
Yeah.
When you're talking common languages, we as working professionals, we have a lot more to lose from an assault conviction than someone who may engage in that common language on a day-to-day basis.
But again, I like the common language because I deal with conflict a lot in my professional job, not violent conflict, but conflict of different opinions and different power dynamics.
100%.
And the way I've successfully bridged a lot of those gaps is by talking to people in the frame of reference that's important to them. That's the common language. No, not English is the common language.
No, I know what you're trying to say, but I'm referring to the fact that one of the common languages is violence.
Correct.
And what I'm saying is, it's horses for courses in the sense that when you're an adult and there's some meth head doofus around, you're a working professional, that person may not care about an assault conviction and they're willing to go toe-to-toe. So in those cases, there's an element of standing your ground and self-defense, and you don't want to jump across that border to be an initiator, because unfortunately the legal systems here aren't defined that way to protect you,
Cool. Next one.
Yeah, awesome.
All right.
I really like that common language framework. Really good.
Thank you.
It's actually a really meaty topic, and I think a skill that needs to be taught and something that should be embraced. They don't touch... Well, when I was in school, they had the bullying sessions, but they never went to this level of detail around how to manage the situation.